staff and support. Okay, go ahead. I can hear you.
Okay, I'm sorry. Sergeant Holliday, East Feliciana Parish, Jail.
Okay, anybody else, any other staff support in the room? No.
Renisha Chris, East Feliciana staff.
All right, great. And we have Robert Ray, who will be attorney at appropriate time. Mr. Ray will allow you to speak, make a statement or comment. Please introduce yourself, state your name and DOC number for the record.
Name is Jacob Johnson, DOC number 744-959.
Okay, Jake, we're here for a parole revocation hearing. I'll read some rule violations. You plead guilty, not guilty, guilty with a statement, or not guilty with a statement. We'll ask you some questions. You can respond. Your attorney can make some statements, and then we'll take a vote. Do you understand the process?
Yes, sir.
Read and write.
Did I say I couldn't?
Can you read and write?
Yes, sir.
Right. Jacob Johnson, DOC number 744-959. Rule number 4. On 9/25/2022, you were involved in a criminal activity during the commission of the offense of domestic abuse, battery, child endangerment in Clinton, Louisiana. You were arrested that day by the East Feliciana Parish Sheriff's Office. On 11/15/2022, you pled to an amended charge of disturbing the peace by fistic encounter, LARS 14.103 A1, under docket EFL #22-CR-753. On 12/6/2022, you returned to court with the district attorney, and the district attorney's office amended the bill again to disturbing the peace by offensive words. How do you plead?
Guilty.
Number 8. On 7/29/2022, you were referred to obtain a substance abuse evaluation and follow recommended treatment. You have failed to provide proof of obtaining a substance abuse evaluation at this time. How do you plead?
No contest to that.
Plead guilty, not guilty, guilty with a statement, or not guilty with a statement.
Not guilty with a statement.
Okay. All right, you want to go ahead and give us a statement on 8?
Yes, sir. I was going to the substance abuse thing. I talked to my parole officer and told her that, you know, but she told me just that I needed to get on that as soon as I could.
You cut out the first part. You cut out. You told your parole officer what?
When my parole officer told me that I needed to go get a drug evaluation, yes, sir, I did agree to go do that. I didn't have a time frame on when I needed to, but you know, I should have went and got it done sooner than just putting it off. But I was working, Your Honor, and I failed to do what I needed to do at that time.
So you never got one then?
No, sir. Now we have, my wife and all has called to set one up since I've even been in here. But we were waiting to see which way this was going.
So tell me about the charge. Of course, you pled down and then you got it amended to disturbing the peace with offensive words. Tell me about the domestic abuse initially, the offense or what they said was. Tell me about the incident.
Well, as you know, I had just got out of prison. While I was incarcerated, my wife had an affair. I found this out after I had gotten out. I have been preparing it slowly to try to ease out of my house into my mother's house. I went to my residence when I made sure that she wasn't there. So when I went, no one was there. I jumped in the shower. I took my shower and I was getting my clothes and she pulled up. Yes, me and her had words. I've never laid my hands on my wife at all. I was getting my clothes and everything together and trying to leave. She did not want me to leave. She was wanting me to reconsider for us to try to work things out and all, but I knew that I needed to remove myself from the situation. As I was trying to leave, she would, kind of block the doorway. Now I have shoe boxes and clothes in my hand. I never laid a hand on her, sir or ma'am. I do not believe in that. So she was she was keeping me from leaving. So, as far as any kind of physical hands throwing or anything, neither one of us laid hands on each other. The kids got scared with us hollering at each other and everything. I mean, I had just came home. Yes, I was upset. So yes, I was hollering some mean things. And I imagine it did scare my kids. They've never seen me and my wife hollering at each other like that. We've been together for 12 years and we've never had arguments or anything like this. I felt very betrayed and everything, being that, being in jail, I could only go off of what I was being told from, the outside. And, I felt really betrayed with everything. So, and I wrote this down and said, I would like to address the board and take responsibilities for my mishap and misunderstanding. Me and my wife did have a verbal disagreement, which when the children got scared after raising our voices, called the police. Upon the arrival of the police, I was arrested for domestic violence, which was false. No physical contact occurred between us. Since then, we have discussed the incident and reconciled. We both are willing to seek counseling so this doesn't happen again. I just want to return to my wife, my kids, my mom and dad, my family. We had an argument just as every couple does. We both recognized we should have reacted more maturely and went about it a different way. I throw myself in front of the board and I ask y'all's mercy to be able to please return to my family and proceed with society. Look, I've always been, my 4 oldest kids, I've got full custody of from my ex-wife. I have always been a role in my kids' life. That charge of child endangerment, there was no, at any time, was my kids at any danger. Same thing with my wife. I would never endanger my wife and everything. In the police report, it states that there was a dresser drawer and all broken in the back. Yes, there was. Nobody knew about that dresser drawer because nobody was in that bedroom with me when I broke it. I emptied it into my suitcase. I zipped my suitcase up and I threw my dresser drawer and I broke it. No one was in that back room. No one was even close to being around for anything to be hurt. The whole incident is, he blew it up more than what it is. And that's all I have.
What, how long have you been in jail?
Over 3 months now, going on 4 months.
And are you back with your wife?
We're talking it out and trying to work it out. Yes, sir.
What happens if it doesn't work out? You gonna blow up again?
No, sir. My goal in life right now, I've screwed up for the past 40 years. My mom's in bad health. My dad's got stage 4 cancer. To be honest with you, those 4 months that I was out was the best I've done properly in my life. I've got a full-time job. It's still waiting for me when I get out. I'm a project manager, sir.
Doing what?
Construction. I'm a project manager for a construction company out of Zachary.
Okay, well, what about your substance abuse? I mean, you gonna, I mean, obviously that's a problem. I mean, your history, that's a problem. Substance, I suspect you,
I've got a AA sponsor. His name is Bruce Childers, and I've already got AA meetings and all already in process of being set up. I know I've got a past of drug abuse and everything else, and I know that could contribute to major problems in the future. We have sat down, and I don't want to go back to prison. I'm not a violent person. I don't have, my record consists of drug abuse, and I know I need to get that under control and, be the father and the person and the son that I need to be to my family. But with the way that this went, this was completely false and went about the wrong way. And just trying to get everything corrected.
Right. Well, it wasn't completely false. I mean, it happened. It happened however it happened, I mean, like I said, obviously you were mad and, you couldn't control your anger and she was probably mad, but, you're the felon here. You've got to be on your P's and Q's. You got to be, you have got to be perfect.
Yeah, sir, you're correct. And that's why, that's why I was trying to go while she wasn't there to avoid the situation.
I understand that part, but I'm talking about being perfect in going and get a drug test as soon as they tell you to go get a drug test. Because that makes me feel like obviously you were using, right?
Yeah, I guess you could suspect it that way, sir. Yes, sir. And sir, if I step out of this jail today, tomorrow I'll go get a drug evaluation.
Have you ever had any long-term drug treatment? Have you ever had any treatment to try to help yourself?
I've gone to rehab, and I went to rehab one time, and then they have an outpatient rehab in Denham Springs that I attended. That way I could continue working and all, and I go there on nights, whatever nights they tell me I would have to go, I would go.
How long did you do that?
A couple months.
You got back in trouble?
Yeah, really, it's really hanging out with the wrong people back then.
I know those people there.
Sir?
Those wrong people are everywhere, but at the end of the day, it's got to be you, right?
It depends on that.
That's my concern is your past drug problem. You have some anger issues. I get it. We want to see you stay out. We don't want to just let you out just because. We want you to stay out and do well. Robert, you have any? Oh, I'm sorry. I apologize.
Mr. Johnson, how are you? Domestic abuse battery with child endangerment doesn't mean that you necessarily physically harm the children. It means that when children see domestic violence taking place in front of them, that causes significant harm and trauma to them. Mariahson, is that the 12-year-old daughter?
Ma'am.
She called the police because she was afraid that you were hurting her mom. She told the police that you were hitting her mom, that you were beating her mom. Jessica had swelling to her jawline as well as redness on her face and a scratch on her lower neck. They said that you were beating up their mom, and it started in the room where they showed them the dresser with the drawer missing. The drawer was on the other side of the room, broken. The kids then walked me into the hallway, showing me where Jacob threw Jessica on the floor and ripped a blind down off the back door. The children were very scared from what happened. So please sit here and tell me that those kids made that up.
Ma'am,
Those kids saw what they saw.
Ma'am,
You did what you did.
Ma'am, honestly, the kids never saw me hit their mother. I never raised my hand or struck.
Okay, all right.
The same thing as far as, ma'am,
Stop talking
I'm sorry.
until you can own up for what you've done. I don't have any confidence in you. Those children didn't make up what they told the police. They saw what they saw. And you may think it's funny, but I do not.
It's not that I'm laughing on that.
All I
ma'am.
have, that's all I have, that's all I have.
Ms. Renata?
So, Mr. Johnson, the reason you were ordered by the board actually to obtain the substance abuse evaluation is because you tested positive in July of 2022 for methamphetamines. Is that correct?
So they say, yes, ma'am.
Yeah, I have no other questions.
All right, Mr. Ray, you'd like to make a comment or say?
Yes, sir. I just wanted to say, I represented Jacob on the underlining charges that he was on parole for. But I've actually known him since he was probably 12 years old. He has had a long history of substance abuse. There have been periods when he hasn't, but I've never known him to be a violent person at all. I also know him to be very active in his children's lives and his wife. I talked to his wife throughout this process, from the time he was arrested all the way up to, she was contacting me this morning. I've also had many conversations with his mother and father. Not only are they trying to work on their marriage, but they have set up marriage counseling and anger management. They've discussed outpatient drug services for him, simply because it's very difficult inpatient, because he has been the sole provider. I think that's some of what led to the extramarital affair when he was in prison. I do know that he has a job that is waiting on him. When he was arrested on this, his boss actually contacted me and offered to hire me to help him on those charges out there, because he wanted to get him back at work as soon as possible. However, the family had been speaking with the district attorney, Sam DeQuilla, out there, who had agreed to amend it down to a disturbing the peace. And so I never actually appeared or did anything out there. I just know they had that in the works, and that Jacob intended to take that disturbing the peace plea, which they amended from the fisticuffs to the offensive words, because I told them that there likely would be issues with the parole board with any kind of physical type stuff. And so he took that as a best interest, thinking he was going to be released back in November, but he'd still been in here. That's, like I said, I don't know the deep talks that went on between the district attorney and the family. But I do know that Jacob, and what I had gotten from her, had maintained the entire time that there wasn't physical violence between the two of them. They were in an argument. She's actually much larger than him too. I don't think he had any physical violence. And Judge, I understand you, or Miss Jackson, I understand you know, you really wanted to hear that from him. But in speaking with him and the family, I truly believe that this was more of a yelling situation that got very out of hand. And I'm sure the kids were scared, but there were a lot of emotions that were wrapped up in that. They have been married for 12 years. Like I said, I've always known them before this. Jacob, did some work even over at my house on some stuff. So I've seen them throughout the course. Have always been a very, very tight family. And I think, him in particular was very hurt to hear she had, stepped out on that marriage. I am glad that they're talking now and are making real steps towards trying to find a way not only to repair their family and all, but also to find ways to, handle their stress and everything where it doesn't turn into a situation where the children are, worried about what's going on and everything. I would ask the board to take all of this into consideration. I do know his mother and father are willing to help to, try to make sure he's going to treatment and doing everything he needs to do and trying to help that family stay together. And if y'all would consider, he's already served all of his time on that disturbing the peace, a technical violation or something, and allowing him to get back to his family.
All right, thank you. All right, Jacob, would you like to make a statement on your behalf?
I ask y'all please to, take, and Your Honor, Miss Bonnie Jackson, I do own up to, there's several different ways that this could have been handled a different way. But Ms. Jackson, I promise you, I never struck my wife or anything. There's no way I can just promise you that or whatever, but as a man, I give you my word that I never hit my wife. I do admit that, there was a lot of hollering and I was very upset, but, I would never try to injure my wife or my children or endanger them, especially. And I mean, I'm sorry. And I hope that y'all have mercy on me to, step back into society and show y'all that I'm not just a ordinary screw up and all that. I can actually, people can change. And like the second chance, please.
All right, thank you. Thank you for your comment. Now, fair to vote. I'll vote first. Mr. Johnson, your situation is concerning. All those things that your attorney said are important. I mean, look, they're all important. It's you have a family, you're trying to work, you're trying to put your family back together, but you got a drug problem. You got a drug problem. It doesn't matter if you don't get that straight. I mean, you had a meth issue in 2022. If you don't get that taken care of, you're never gonna get your family back together. I mean, that's just the facts. Listen, I'm sure it was a heated situation. Look, you say what you say, they say what they say. I mean, it was a bad situation. I mean, that you could have handled it differently. That is true. So I'm concerned about it. Again, my job is to see that you get out and stay out, not just get out. But for that, again, I find you guilty to these charges. Have a problem with you not having the drug treatment. But for me, the only way that I can know that you'll get some type of treatment is I would be willing to vote in lieu of revocation to send you to Steve Hall Intensive Substance Abuse Program to get some help. And if you don't want it, then you can just stay in jail. 2032, I think, is when you get out. So, it doesn't matter to me. If you're not willing to know you got a problem and go help yourself out, then, I can just revoke you if you'd rather do that. But I would be willing to give you in lieu of revocation, Steve Hall Intensive Substance Abuse Program. After that, you have you did go to NAA 3 times a week. You maintain full-time employment, and you have a curfew from 9 p to 6 a with random drug screens. Now I'm one vote, but that's my vote. Ms. Renat?
Mr. Johnson, I also have concerns, frankly, about your attitude about the whole situation and what happened, both the positive drug screening and what happened at home. You and your attorney friend have indicated you're willing to do an outpatient treatment program, but I don't think you'll do it and be successful. The only insurance, I guess, that you'll get the treatment you need is to send you to a DOC treatment program, inpatient treatment program. So I agree with Mr. Kelsey. you pled guilty to violating condition, number 8, and I find you guilty of violating condition number 4. I would vote to, in lieu of revocation, order that you complete the long-term substance abuse program at Seaside. Good luck.
Ms. Jackson.
Well, Mr. Johnson, you know how I feel about the situation. And you're making the same mistakes that most drug addicts make. That is, you think work, and having a job and going to work is more important than recovery. Until you flip your priorities to recovery, you're never going to be successful at anything else. A job is not what's going to keep you straight. Treatment is. I had you down to revoke you, but I'm going to accept my colleague's suggestion that in lieu of revocation, you complete a long-term substance abuse program through DOC. I'm also going to add that you complete a 26-week domestic violence offender program. Don't they have that, Steve?
It's that exact program that they do.
We do have.
A domestic.
I'm going to order that you also complete a domestic violence intervention program in lieu of revocation. So that's my vote.
Right, you have 3 votes to vote. We voted in lieu of revocation to be transferred to a long-term substance abuse program. After successful completion of that, you'll attend NAA 3 times a week. You'll have maintain full-time employment. You have a curfew from 9 p to 6 a, and you'll complete the domestic violence program. 3 votes in lieu of revocation. Do you understand the stipulations?
The program y'all are talking about, y'all saying a long-term drug thing,
That's right.
This is sir,
Through DOC, that's right.
okay, how long of a program is that?
A long-term, as long as it takes.
No,
As long as
I'm,
it takes for you to get better.
okay, I'm just trying to find,
They'll make that decision. Yeah, well, they'll make that decision. They'll talk to you. They'll talk to you about it. And so we'll adjourn at 10:54.
It's amazing how
Thank you.
where am I?
it's really amazing how ungrateful he is. He has like no idea how easily they could have, and others judges probably would have just thrown the book at him. He's going to be able to finish this program and get out probably within a year versus having to do his full sentence. I'm not sure if I've heard a worse hearing than this, right? I mean, it's pretty bad. Let's see. I thought certain things that stuck out to me. Miss Jackson saying, "Please tell me that those kids were making it up. Please tell me that." And then he says, "As a man, I give you my word." And it's like, really? So as a convicted felon, meth addict in jail, you give us your word. Thank you, sir. I appreciate that gesture. Then his attorney friend, who I thought did an okay job considering, I mean, I don't know why he's, on his cell phone, but what was, I thought, kind of funny is she's actually much larger than him. And, dude, like, I don't know if I'd want to get out of prison if my lawyer just said that and she saw this. I think I'd want to stay where I was. That was certainly something. It's that was a first. I heard a lot of attorneys say different things, but that was definitely a first. It's right. You are a convicted felon. You have to be perfect, and I don't believe you at all. We have a police report where there are bruises on her. Their children said that they saw it, and you're just denying it. They could have thrown the book at you, and instead they're giving you an out, and you still show no appreciation. And I don't know why they felt like doing that for him, but they did. And maybe it was, I missed it. How long was his full sentence? Maybe it was because he would get out anyways, and they're just trying to help him. So they want to put him in a course, or maybe they do believe that they don't want to take him away from his kids. Ungrateful, though. Ungrateful SOB, as they might say. What do you guys think? You think that they should have just thrown the book at him? I couldn't believe Miss Jackson's patience. I mean, I love when she goes and drills into it, and she just did a great job. And she was going to revoke, but because of the other two judges, she put her ego aside, and she gave him the best opportunity, and he still showed no appreciation. And I just can't feel any empathy to someone like that. I just can't. It's just a classic line. The classic lines in here. She's actually much larger than him, and as a man, I give you my word. But with that, I will let you go.